Hi Sagittarius, this is Leah at Fresh Astrology. How are you? We're looking at the year 2019, and if you ever want to ask me questions or get a reading, you can email me at freshastrology@gmx.com or go to my website www.freshastrology.com. I'll have links below, and I have a course starting in January 2019. This is for people who want to learn a coaching style to doing readings, and we'll be focusing on the coaching style and the coaching tools. It's not an astrology course, but we will practice it in terms of giving readings and doing, mild predictive work using the coaching tools. So there'll be a lot of hand-holding and practice. And then it's not mandatory, but for those who want to, after you kind of learn these tools, you can practice on my channel. I'll let you, put up some videos, or you can put them on my Facebook page if you don't want to go as big as YouTube. But you'll have other ways to practice more publicly if you choose. Also, if you're a woman over 40 and you're starting a business or have a business and want support, you can join Tribe. It's free in the link below. That's my other business. All right, so let's get going, Sagittarius. So, the way I'm approaching this particular reading is looking at, since we're looking out over an entire year, 365 days. That's a lot of days, and to give a reading where we cover all of that, I think it's better for me personally to do something relatively simple so that every day of the year you can, when you pull your head out of the sand or the clouds or stop for a moment, you can think, well, what kind of year is this? In Chinese parlance, it's going to be the year of the pig. So it makes it I really admire that. It's just the year of the pig. That's all you need to know. You need to know what that means. And it's no matter what day it is of the year, you can always ground yourself and orient yourself to, well, it's the year of the pig, so what's happening makes sense, or the way I feel makes sense. And in astrology, it always seems far more complex than that. But there is a very distinct marker this year, and that is what's happening with Uranus. So I think Uranus is our equivalent of the pig. And so we're going to discuss that in more detail here. There's more going on, obviously. In my sneak peek preview for the year, which I did months ago, I discussed another very large component of astrological activity that I think is very, very important. And then I've already given a North Node video reading for all the signs where I discussed the North Node, but putting those aside, I'm going to focus on Uranus here. I think that's the equivalent of the pig. And so let's look where Uranus is for you. Currently, as I do this, and as we begin the year, Uranus is in Aries. Aries is where Uranus has been for the last 7-ish years. And for the typical Sagittarius, it's going to be kind of symbolically in this area of the 5th house in Aries. So Aries is a fellow fire sign for you. So in many ways, the Uranian energy over the past 7 years in 5th house types of activities have been friendly to you, but with the planet Uranus, there's also been a lot of unpredictability. And there may be a feeling that you can't count on people in this case, or count on your own ability to have fun, or count on romance, count on creative projects, or your ability to follow through on projects. So in terms of work that you want to pursue, there's this feeling like maybe that things get cut short, or you never get to complete things. Or in romance is very unpredictable, gets cut short. There may be this feeling that you're surrounded by people, maybe romantic partners, who have mood ups and downs, and it's hard to deal with that for some of you. And creatively, your creative juices may be flowing and then stop, flowing, then stop, and you feel like you can't rely on your own ability to create. And that's probably quite hard for those of you who are artists. There may be a feeling of, I just never know when I'm going to be in the mood. Sometimes I just can't. Sometimes I just have like writer's block, or I'm looking at the blank canvas and don't know what to do. Some of you have embraced, because this is your fifth house, it's a little easier to deal with sometimes. Some of you have embraced the frenetic, kind of unpredictable nature, the roller coaster nature of Uranus here, especially for artists or people with projects, and just gone with it, gone with the change, gone with trying things new. And you're willing to go out into the frontier and be inventive and creative in a way that you haven't seen others do, or in a way you've certainly never done. And so a lot of you, it may have helped you in your creativity. It may have taken you to a whole new level, because maybe you've used technology in a new way that you never thought of before, and it's taken you far. Maybe you've become known online, and the internet has helped you become famous or known, or somehow helped you in your creative, or your creative career, or your if you've got your own business, it may have helped you a great deal. So a lot of you, if you've kind of gone with the flow of Uranus, which usually pushes you toward using technology, toward being inventive, toward trying new things, then maybe it's worked for you. In romance, if you've been maybe playing the part of Uranus, where you need change, you get bored easily, you don't want to feel stagnant, it may have caused you to shake up some relationships, leave some relationships, and get bored easily, and not want to be tied down. So a lot of you may be feeling like, I don't want to be tied down. I like romance, I like dating, or whatever, but I don't want to feel tied down. I don't want to stagnate, and I get bored easily. It's just the way you've been feeling. So you could have had that. What's happening now, though, is Uranus is leaving that area and moving on into your sixth house, which is dominated by Taurus. So Taurus itself, compared to Aries, which is a fellow fire sign, is a very different energy. It's much more grounded, it's slower. It's the equivalent, let's think, I've been trying to think of good equivalents for different signs. You're definitely, whenever something goes over the cusp of something else. So in this case, Uranus is going over the cusp from the fifth house to the sixth house, and from Aries to Taurus. Whenever you have a major planet like this going over a cusp, it is like it really goes through a doorway from one room that seemed one way to a very different kind of space. And it's the equivalent of leaving something that was far more chaotic and fast-paced and energized, and in this case maybe frenzied fun, too much fun. Some of you may, not all, but some of you may have been having like a weird kind of fun that is unreliable, and it doesn't always feel good. And you may be exhausted, and so you're leaving that behind definitively. You've been in the process of leaving it behind, but some of you may be physically very worn out from whatever you've been experiencing, and you may start feeling the physical burnout or symptoms of whatever's gone on before. And so it's time, in a way, this is your year of the pig, is to deal with some of the physical, like notice what gives you energy, what depletes your energy, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel bad, to start noticing, and to maybe get help with whatever you need help with. Notice any mood swings, notice any big fluctuations in your health, and start noticing what contributes from your daily schedule what you put yourself through, or what environment you're in, how it contributes to helping you or hindering you or hurting you. So your daily environment is very important. A lot of you are changing your daily environment dramatically. Some of you may be traveling more. Some of you may be your schedule's going to change dramatically, and there may be kind of a sense of unpredictability around your schedule. What you're learning here is resiliency. You're learning how to be resilient in the face of change. You're learning how to adapt to new environments quickly, or not. And it's far better with Uranus to learn adaptation skills, to learn resiliency skills. And in this case, it's when you're plucked out of one environment and plunked down into another, you learn how fast can I adapt, how fast can I, feel okay with these changes. If I feel like I've been thrown into chaos and I'm having to learn something entirely new, how well do I deal with that? It will tend to go better if you're allowed some degree of freedom. So I would say if you're starting a job on a very practical level, if you're starting a job or any new thing that's impacts your daily life, it needs to feel like it has some degree of freedom infused within it. You're going to feel, Uranus is always where we need to feel like we have some freedom. And we're going to resist anything that doesn't feel like freedom. So if you go into a job, it needs to have some freedom attached to the expectation of maybe, for example, some jobs require you to be sitting at a desk all day long, and you can never leave unless you're taking a sick day or a vacation day. Well, that's not ideal for this time in your life, and you're going to fail, or the job's going to fail you. It's not so much that you're going to fail, it's more that the job's going to fail you. It won't work. So if you're taking a job where you have to be tied down and you don't have a lot of freedom, it's just going to feel awful. And so as you make choices over this year about what to do with your daily life, it's really important that you're allowed to express your individuality, that you're allowed some degree of freedom where you get to choose your schedule, that you get to choose maybe when to wake up, when to go to bed, how many hours you work, maybe you're a night owl, maybe you'd rather do your work at night. As much freedom as you can get, the better. The ability to travel is quite nice during this transit. The ability to maybe work with people from distant lands or be around people who are from distant cultures, unique people, being good with being around very unique people who aren't necessarily like you. Maybe you'll even have a yearning to be around unique people, not around the same old, same old. There's going to feel like an internal need to shake things up and not stay in the same schedule, not stay in the same place, not be around the same people. But at the same time, it's going to be kind of a wild ride. When you do change your environment and you change a lot of things at once, it can be kind of a, it takes time to adjust. So what you're learning here very acutely is how to do self-nurturing no matter what's happening in your life. How do you care for yourself? And in this cow energy of Taurus, it's asking you to slow down. Even with Uranus, Uranus does bring about change. Sometimes it's sudden. Sometimes Uranus can feel a little chaotic, but it's still asking you within that energy to slow it down. I'm guessing a lot of you need to slow down, and you need to smell the roses, and you need to indulge yourself a little in a healthy way, and to find healthy indulgences, things that help you feel relaxed, that bring you down to a reasonable pace of life. So it's about slowing, even though it's Uranus, it's still about slowing down. And I think that's a part of your health picture and wellness picture over the next 7 years, and learning the art of self-care. What is it really? Definitely for you, it's going to involve changing up your routine, not same old, and feeling some degree of freedom, a fair degree of freedom here. So that is the main show. Then, in addition, we do have Jupiter in your sign. That's another thing that characterizes this year, is the movement of Jupiter in, away from Scorpio into Sagittarius for most of the year. It will at the end of the year go into Capricorn, but you've got Jupiter in your sign for the majority of this year. And so a lot of these changes that are happening for you will have a tendency to be lucky. They will tend to be lucky for you, even if they don't always feel like it at first. Trust is kind of trusting that you're going to a good place, trusting that it'll be okay, trusting that, the universe or God has your back as you go through some inevitable changes, a lot of you within your workplace. Maybe your job changes, or maybe where you work changes, or the type of work that you do changes. Some of you, it's your daily environment, but of course if you take a new job, your daily environment does change dramatically, but your daily life will change dramatically. And so just follow those rules of self-care, slowing it down, making sure you have freedom to be who you need to be and do what you need to do. I think if you follow those rules, that will work together with this Jupiter in your sign very nicely. And I think for a lot of you, it's just trusting that things are going in a good direction, having some trust to make the changes maybe that you need to make. All right. Happy New Year.